Okay, Tiana, so this is your kitchen written assignment, and these are your scores. The A, remember, is the reflective statement here. That's out of 3 points. The B is knowledge and understanding. That's out of 6 points. C is the appreciation of the author's choices. That's out of 6 points. D is development and organization, or organization and development. That's out of 5. And E is language, use of language, and that's out of 5 points, okay? So the first one I want to talk about is the reflective statement. The primary thing that we want to do in the reflective statement is show that this is stuff you learned in class, rather than talking about the novel so much. And you don't, but what you want to say is something like the group or the class discussed how here, like in here, the food is and meals are a big are a way to bond in Japanese society and culture. Does that make sense? So you would say something like, you wouldn't say the setting of kitchen takes place in Japan, or you could, but you didn't learn that from the interactive oral. But what we learned from the discussion is that because of this, Mikage is a very relatable character to most Japanese readers. You want to say something like, the group discussed how Mikage's love of food, or her going to cooking school, something like that, instead of just that she's relatable. Because this is kind of vague. We've got like another 50 words you can help develop this. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought I was referring to the group discussion as the interactive oral.
Okay, yeah.
I do that like throughout the entire thing.
Like here, right? I would say if you could talk about it more. Like it's a common social bond. Examples, more than just more.
Well, I said that like the tea ceremony was like my example.
Another thing that was commonly seen in Japanese culture. But I guess the tea ceremony is not in the novel. Tea is, but the ceremony's not.
Okay.
And just again with the interactive oral, discuss how tea is a huge part of Japanese culture. We might not see the tea ceremony, or perhaps they said it was in there and I noticed it wasn't, or something to that extent. You don't have to agree with everything that was said per se, but a discussion of more of what you've learned. And so we learned that green tea is important. Okay. Here, this last one is pretty much with the, again, develop this idea of not showing emotion. If you want to talk about the theories of existentialism that were discussed in the oral, then talk about those. Because again, we've got, I'm pretty sure we've got 70 words that you can, because the most important, what they're looking for is more than a superficial development of So what we're looking for is more than just some development, that it shows real development of your understanding of cultural and contextual elements. So again, if you can give more specific examples, just kind of build out what you're saying about the food, about the repressing emotions, or about the existentialism, that would help.
If we only discuss so much though about the culture in the, like, if the people that are going, like, do I just make it up then?
No.
Because I'm pretty sure I took, like, pretty solid notes and used what I actually did learn from it.
And this is it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay, cool. All right then. Well, let's look at the rest of the essay. The green right here, a theme that is often shown in kitchen, especially through the pineapple scene, is hope through despair. Yoshimoto demonstrates this theme through the character Eriko. Good. I would, if you were to make it really good, you would say, maybe even invert that order. Yoshimoto demonstrates the theme of hope through despair in the pineapple scene. Just putting the author here instead of in the subject position instead of a theme. Does that make sense? Because what we're trying to do is really boost the appreciation of, or explanation really, of what the author's doing. And we do that by putting the author in the subject position of the sentence rather than a theme that is often shown. Because who's the person that's doing the showing? Who's showing it?
Well, that's why I have a next sentence.
Right, but I'm trying to suggest that to emphasize your understanding. Again, just a suggestion. You don't have to take it. Now, what's in yellow, I think would be better served in one of the body paragraphs. Because we're not really going to develop this idea yet. We're still in our introduction. But Yoshimoto uses Eriko's presence in a novella to enlighten Mikage. The idea through hope through despair. Okay. Perhaps a little bit more organization would be helpful if instead of kind of repeating what we've got here, which is kind of what you say here and here, looking at these body paragraphs and pulling out exactly how this pineapple scene highlights this theme. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that you're giving us a thesis statement, a guiding sentence, rather than a lot of times people want it to be like a movie or something where you're like kind of keeping us in suspense, like it's going to unfold for us, but typically in these academic papers, we want to know what it is.
I guess my thinking behind it was that sentence is basically the main point of the entire paper.
Okay.
So that's why I did that. And then I'm stating that Eriko is the character that really creates this theme, and that's why I have that, because I'm introducing my paper, that is my thesis.
Your thesis is that Eriko's presence.
Well, my thesis is the theme that hope through despair, and I'm using Eriko is the person who is doing that, is showing that.
I guess the theme might be hope through despair, and that Yoshimoto uses Eriko to demonstrate this. But as far as a thesis goes, that's not really.
Okay, so what would be my thesis then?
Yoshimoto uses Eriko's character to demonstrate the theme of hope through despair through her. And that's what I'm saying. You know, these body paragraphs, is it, because really what it seems like, it's more about the pineapple plant and the scene itself that's revealing. Please stop. That's revealing the theme or characterization of Eriko. I mean, it's through this, and it's more than just a scene. It's kind of a extended flashback or story that Eriko tells Mikage, that we really get that this idea comes out, that sentence is brought out, right? So, I mean, your next paragraph that's why I've got of this scene in red, because it kind of is more than just the scene, because I think if we were to call it this story or this memory, something.
I mean, that's hard for me though, because I understood that was like, you know, a memory or whatever. But my topic was like the pineapple scene, and I didn't choose that. So I guess that kind of got me to thinking like I should call that the scene.
Okay. I understand, but I'm not sure you understand that I consider this a draft, and we're going over this so that you can figure out what you need to change. It's not like you're trying to defend and why you need to keep this way. I'm trying to point out to you how you can make this better.
Okay.
Does that make sense? I mean, because I understand that, you thought it needed to be called a scene. I'm saying it's more complicated and there's more to it than just a scene. So if we could maybe call it a memory, and through this memory, we're going to see that we've got the hospital, we've got him returning home, and then we also have Eriko in the now of the story telling Mikage this memory, which is when we get what you call the center of your paper, if you haven't experienced true despair. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I mean, it's those three scenes, if you will, that come together to form this kind of moment within the story that is so revelatory. Okay, so here in blue, I'm suggesting that you move this paragraph to here and make it the first body paragraph. Eriko's wife wanted something that was living, could be in the room with her. Everything that surrounded her was dead, etc., etc. Then follow it with this paragraph, right? So we move from kind of the introduction, and I would suggest we get, maybe for clarification, we use her name, Erica's wife, comma.
I couldn't find her name.
Or maybe Yuichi's mother? Regardless, yeah, so in terms of, we don't want a bunch of summary, but we need a bit of a transition in the sense of, pineapple plant to why we're here in this scene. It maybe reference it as saddest memory of Erico, right? A memory of Erico, the saddest one of all. And I guess to me that's why I'm calling this more than just a scene, is because this kind of captures these 2 pages, you know what I mean? 4 pages, right? But, so this one's in purple because it really seems to be a shift of focus in some ways from, I think I see what you're saying about the Japanese culture, and her shift, but essentially there's so much in this memory that I think it would be helpful to stay focused on the idea of hope through despair, which kind of keeps coming around, through the pineapple, right? And I think this paragraph does a good job of focusing on that, especially with the observation, the insight that Eriko's confused, right? That she sends him home, right? Eriko did not understand the reasoning behind this. It confused Eriko in a way that almost upset him. It's a sign of giving up something that Eriko had an easy time doing because of this desperate faith, right? I think instead of going into the crying my eyes out, colder than hell gender shift, maybe develop this idea of maybe, just saying, maybe. But the reason she's sending him away and the pineapple plant away is that she didn't want it to become infused with death. Just saying. Okay. So the purple, I'm suggesting maybe, it's good insight, but it takes us off track. And then lastly, I think sign it out. So this is the end of Eriko's story here, with the end of the quote, right? I understood what she was trying to say. So that's Mikage, right? And I remember thinking listlessly, is this what it means to be happy? But now I feel it in my gut. Why is it I have so little choice? We live like the lowliest worms, always defeated. Defeated, we make dinner, we eat, we sleep. Everyone we love is dying. Still, to cease living is unacceptable. It's kind of morbid, kind of dark, but it's hope. And I think. And to me, it's kind of, at least as far as the book is concerned, it is Mikage's understanding of this muddled cheerfulness, of this hope through despair. So you've got that, right? I would say the so here I am. Yeah, don't necessarily need, but again, Yoshimoto using the memory, Yoshimoto using Mikage's remembering of this story to convey this theme is what we're trying to highlight. Or
right.
For you, right? So here you would want to say, on her website, Yoshimoto says she thinks death is the best motif for the search of meaning in life. Perhaps we see this reflected in Eriko's and Mikage's philosophy, right? Instead of the characters, we want to be specific. And specifically focusing on this memory, if you will, or the pineapple. because again, it's almost as if we've got what could be an introduction in our conclusion. This is great. Erica's daring to hope becomes a salient part of Makagi's life. But again, I think it would be wise and helpful to draw from this scene rather than earlier in the story. Cool.
So what is my overall grade for this?
I couldn't tell you. 6, 10, 11. Probably a 4.
I don't understand why I keep getting really low grades. Like I don't know. I feel like I was trying to apply everything we went over in my last one. And I had multiple people look over it, and I really try to stick to the criteria and write what you wanted me to write, but it's like, I don't know. And I don't really know, like, I can fix those couple words and take out that purple paragraph, but I don't know, really.
Did you do a revision for the Camus?
I think so. I don't remember.
Okay.
But our conference, I go to those notes and I used Yoshimoto and what she was trying to convey, and I don't know, I don't understand.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
That's why it's nice that this is recorded. So you can go back over it. And if you want to make the changes, you know what I mean?